Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visual Idol channel. Today we continue our lab, the Matrix Lab. This is the video number 9. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have been working on how to create different group policies and apply them by linking them to the specific OUs and the specific Active Directory objects. So we have said before that for any group policy to be implemented, we need to have two conditions. To link the GPO or group policy to a location. This location we mean the OU or the organizational unit, and then define which object this group policy will be applied in this location. So for example, we have an OU. In the OU we have groups and computers and users, for example. The group policy will be applied to which object? It will be applied to users in the OU, or to groups in the OU, or to computers in the OU. We have said this before, and we have discussed 7 of the famous group policies that is applied in any multinational organization. We have discussed them in details, and we have focused on the default domain policy, which is very, very important. It contains the generic settings that will be applied to all of the objects in the domain, computers or groups or anything. For example, like the password policy, like the default desktop background, any generic setting you need to apply, it could be applied using the default domain policy. And most of the security settings related to the domain is applied through the default domain policy. So you need to revise the security section in the default domain policy, and update it with the latest security standards, like the one published by the Department of Defense of the United States. We have discussed this also in the previous video. So we have done all of the group policies, we have linked them, we have applied them. So we have done through 8 videos, we have created a virtual machine on the VM Workstation Pro 17.5 version, and then we have installed Windows Server VNext 2025 on this virtual machine. We have updated it with Windows updates and antivirus updates, and then we have installed Active Directory domain services on it, and then promote the server to be a primary domain controller. And then we have created the different Active Directory objects using scripts. This Active Directory objects, users, groups, computers, we have created the different group policies and applied them. We have made the group policy central store location and download in it or feed it with the different group policy group policy templates for different applications like Adobe Reader and so on. So we have done a lot of things through 8 videos. Today we will begin, or we'll create a new virtual machine, and this virtual machine will be the additional domain controller. Why we need to have 2 domain controllers? It is for redundancy. So if the primary domain control fails, you will have an additional domain controller that will be the redundant, or it will be like a backup for the primary domain controller, so everyone can log into the domain. Okay, and one of the best practices is always to install a domain controller on a separate server. So the server should only be a domain controller. No additional server roles should be installed on the server. If you have spare servers, then make the primary on a server and the additional on the server. Okay. Other things, if you need to install a file server, also this should be on a separate server. If you need to install DHCP, you should also install on a separate server. If you need to have WSOS, also it should be installed on a separate server. This is the best practices. What about if you don't have these much or that much servers? So it will be like that. You need to have the primary domain controller on a separate server, and then you can have the additional and the WSOS and the DHCP and the file server on one server. But take care, this server should have enough hardware resources, because WSOS needs a lot of RAM, file server needs a lot of storage. Okay, so you need to take care that this server should have excessive hardware. Okay, so this is one of the things today we will do, or we will create the additional domain controller, we will join it to the domain, and then after that we in the upcoming videos we'll begin installing a file server, a DHCP, a WSOS. These are all famous server roles that is in any multinational organization. You will find these servers in any multinational organization. So let's see how we will create the additional domain controller. It is very, very simple. We will repeat some steps. We have done it previously when we were creating the primary domain controller. Nothing new, some details we will try to investigate in this video, but typically it will be a normal process and a repeated process. So let's go and see how we can install an additional domain controller. First of all, we need to go and create a folder. In this folder, we will save our virtual machine. So we have our virtual machines in a folder called VM. This is the primary domain controller VM files. Now we will create another folder. We call it DC. This is abbreviation for domain controller. SM for the simulation OU. This is a server in the simulation OU, and this is number 2. And the operating system is 25. This is an abbreviation for 2025, the latest operating system for Microsoft. It's still in the preview phase. The final phase will take some time until it is released. So now we will go to the home and then create a new virtual machine. Next. Then install operating system later. We have Windows Server 2022 because we don't have 2025 still in the selection list in VMware because it is not a final release yet. Okay, so now we will go to the folder that we have created, the VM folder. Okay, so we'll go to the documents, then VM. Okay, then this is the folder, and then OK. Next. First, we need to make sure that the virtual machine name is the same. Next, then we'll give it 300 gigabyte. This is the one hard disk that will be partitioned as one partition, and it will be the C partition or the operating system partition. Okay, so now we need to do a couple of things. We need to add an additional hard disk. We need to add 2 network adapters because we'll make network teaming, the same as we have done in the primary domain controller. So now we need first to give it 1 processor because we don't have a lot of processor resources. Okay, now we need to add an additional hard disk. Okay, next, NV, then create a virtual hard disk 200. This will be the second hard disk. It will be partitioned as one partition. This will be the D partition, the data partition for the server. Take care that this hard disk should be in the folder that contain the VM files because it will be thrown out, not in the folder that contains the VM. So you need to make sure that this is the correct. So we need to have the second hard disk in the folder that contains the VM files, because if you don't do that, it will put it in any elsewhere. So this will be a problem. Okay, so take care. Now, next, then we need to add an additional or here first we need to put it on the V network, our network VMnet 8. This is the network. We have our server primary on it. Then we add an additional network adapter, the same, to be on VMnet 8. Then we need to go and share some folders to this virtual machine. Go to the options, go to the snapshots first. When you power off the machine, it should ask me if you need to take a snapshot, to revert to a snapshot, or just power off. This is very, very useful to remind you to always take snapshots. Okay, so this is one thing, and we need to share a couple of folders, or here to the shared folders. We need to share a folder between the virtual machine and my laptop. So I need to share the folder that contain my scripts or my lab files, the matrix lab files. Here I have a folder named matrix final. So this contains all of the scripts I need. The matrix lab final. This contains all the things I need. Next, next, and finish. And one thing to take note about, make sure that the firmware of the virtual machine is UEFI and you have secure boot checked, because this thing was not asked, or we were not asked this option during creating the virtual machine. So if I go to the VMware and show you what I mean, this is the VM. Okay, later we will create a separate VM for WSOS. I will not install the WSOS on the same VM. I will have it on a separate VM. Here, this is the VM, edit virtual machine setting. we need to go to the options, and in advanced, make sure that you have UFI firmware and enable secure boot. So you need to check this option before installing the operating system. Okay, so take care of that. As for our primary domain controller, if you go to the setting and see the options and advanced secure boot, it is checked. If you go to the WSOS, which we will check later, or we will create it later, we'll go to the options, go to the advanced, we have secure boot. Secure boot UFI, this is the best security standard for the firmware. So any server, okay, should have the UFI as a firmware and the secure boot section or secure boot option to be enabled. This to secure the boot files of the operating system. This is very, very critical. You can search the internet what is UFI and what is secure boot, and what is it is very, very important because it will save you from a couple of hacking methods to hack the boot files. Okay, so this is very, very useful option to have. Okay, so and I showed you all how we can do that. Now we can continue our lab. So now we can edit the virtual machine setting and insert the DVD. Go to the ISO image properties. Okay, we can go. Okay, this is Insider Preview Edition. Let me have a question asked to ChatGPT, just to make it more. When the Windows Server vNext 2025 final release edition will be published. Okay, let's wait and see what will be the answer. So it is said the final release is expected to be released later this year. So you mean this year 2024, but when exactly? This is not announced yet. Microsoft has consistently releasing builds to the Windows Insider, and this was the edition we are working with currently. The final release is anticipated to occur after these Insider phases are complete and all the major feedback has been incorporated into the product. So still we don't have a specific date. Another tool I am using currently is Perplexity, which is a very, very good tool for searching, actually, not like ChatGPT, but it gives us also a very good feedback. So let's ask Perplexity because I try to use it extensively in my lab. So let's see what it will give us. Okay. Here, one thing of Perplexity, it gives you the source of his answer. Okay. This is done in Copilot age. Okay. But it is not, it is sometimes done through ChatGPT. For example, here is uh, the links, but in Perplexity, it is more arranged. So we can see here, final links will be published sometime later this year. Okay. Although Microsoft has not publicly set a specific date for the release yet, the preview editions has been generating excitements among IT professionals due to anticipated capabilities and so on. So again, we don't have any specific time for the release. One of the good things that you can tell it to search for images for your answer, search for videos for your answer. So if you can go like that, it will search for images for this answer. Okay, maybe images for the Windows Server 2025. It can search for videos, so you have a lot of options to play with through the chat through the Perplexity. So let's go and continue. So this is a very, very normal setup process. We will uh, partition the hard disks. So we'll have the 300 gigabyte, or the first hard disk will be partitioned as one partition. Okay, this is the C, or the operating system partition. Then we will install the operating system. The second hard disk will be also partitioned as one partition, which will be the D. This will be the data for, or the data partition for the additional domain controller. So you see, this is the new interface. We have discussed this before when we were working with the first domain controller. This is a repeated process. Install Windows Server, agree, next. We will put the product key later. We will have the desktop experience. We don't use the core or the operating system without graphical interface. So we will accept the license agreement. Then we'll be given a box searching for the hard disk. Then we should choose one of the hard disks and partition it. This is the first hard disk. We'll create a partition, or tell him next. He will take all of the partition as a whole. Next, and it will be formatted as well. So we have install the data center, keep nothing because we don't have anything on the hard disk. So now we have installing Windows Server. Now 14%, we will see the different uh, percentage. Okay, we have 70 or 47% complete. Then we are prompted for the key. We will not add it now. Accept. Then we will prompt it for the local administrator password, which should be complex and should be frequently changed uh, in an automatic way. If you can use Microsoft local administrator password solution, this will help you to change the local password on all of the servers and workstations automatically. It is integrated with the Active Directory, by the way, so you can do that through the Active Directory. Okay, so now we have this virtual machine. We need to install the VMware tools. This is one of uh, uh, the main steps you need to do when you're creating any virtual machine on any virtualization or any hypervisor platform. Most of the hypervisor platforms will prompt you to install their tools on the virtual machines that you have created on this software or this hypervisor, because it will make the communication between your host and your guest more easy, and it will enhance the experience, okay, or enhance your experience with the virtual machine. For example, VMware tools on products of VMware like VMware Workstation Pro, vSphere, VirtualBox, guest additions on the VirtualBox, okay, maybe on Proximus or other platforms, maybe they don't have this, but in a sense, you should install the program agent or the tools of the program on the virtual machine so you can have better communication between your host and your guest. We will ask the AI what is the importance of installing VMware tools on this or on the VMware Workstation Pro virtual machines. First of all, let me go and show you something here, because when I install this VMware tools, I will do a little tweak, because we have a lot of crashes concerning this operating system. I have said because this is a Canary edition, so it is normal to have some crashes, but I suspected something. Let me show you first what did I suspect. First of all, we will log into the machine, and then the first thing we need to do is to install the VMware tools. Here I will do something, but wait for a moment. So here we will ask for the telemetry data or diagnostic data to only send the required data, not any additional data that may compromise our company security. Okay. So here, this is the server manager. I will close it. Then we need to install the VMware tools. This is the first step we need to do. Install the VMware tools. Here, I will do something. I will not install all of the VMware tools. I will exclude one important thing, or one option, I suspect it was the problem that was causing my operating system to crash, because I have the same issue or a similar issue when I was working with the VirtualBox. I have some crashes with the VirtualBox virtual machines, and the problem was the setting of the graphical card of the virtual machine. So I suspect that this may be a problem, okay, similar like the VirtualBox on the VM or VM Workstation Pro. Maybe it's a problem with the graphical device drivers. So I exclude the graphical device drivers from the VMware tools installation options. So let me show you all what here I mean by that. So I tell him to install the VMware tools. So here we will run the setup. Here I will choose not to complete install. I will tell him to custom installation. Okay, tell him next. Then tell him to custom installation, and they will exclude the graphical drivers or the display drivers. Okay, tell him custom. Okay, next. You will see the different tools and drivers to be installed. I will exclude the Vega driver or the Super Vega drivers. Okay, so I will exclude it. I will make it entire feature will be unavailable driver to enhance the performance of your virtual machine card. Okay, so let me have a question asked to ChatGPT, which is very, very normal. Why I need to install VMware tools on the VMware virtual machines. So let's see what was the answer of ChatGPT, so we can see why it is very important to install it. Okay, so we can read it loudly.
VMware Tools is a suite of utilities that enhances the performance of the virtual machine's guest operating system and improves the management of the VM. Here's a breakdown of what it typically installs and why it is important. 1. Device drivers. VMware Tools includes specialized drivers that improve the performance and functionality of guest operating systems. These drivers help in more efficient use of hardware resources, such as improved graphics, faster networking, and more efficient disk operations. Step 2. VMware Tools Service. This service performs various tasks that help manage the interaction between the guest OS and the VMware environment. It handles operations like time synchronization between the guest and host systems, automatic grabbing and releasing of the mouse cursor when you enter or leave the VM window, and clean shutdown of the guest when the VM is powered down. 3. VMware User Process. This includes processes that run in the background and provide functionality such as copying and pasting text, images, and files between the guest and the host. 4. Optimization and performance utilities. VMware Tools provides scripts that help automate tasks and improve the performance of the VM. This includes tools for defragmenting the disk and tools for tuning the memory usage. Importance of installing VMware Tools: improved video performance. It improves the display performance of VMs, especially for high-resolution graphics and animations. Seamless mouse movement. It allows for seamless movement of the mouse between the host and the guest operating system without needing to release the mouse cursor. Enhanced device support. It supports more sophisticated interaction with hardware and can improve the performance of devices connected to the VM, like network adapters and USB devices. Efficient power management. VMware Tools helps in managing the power state of VMs, enabling better management of resources in a data center. Time synchronization. It ensures that the clock in the guest operating system remains synchronized with the host, preventing issues related to time drift in applications. Improved management and automation. VMware Tools allows for more effective management of VMs through scripts and other automation tools, making it easier to perform large-scale deployments and management. Overall, VMware Tools is essential for effective management and optimal performance of VMware virtual machines. It is typically one of the first things installed after setting up a new VM.
So we can see there is a lot of options or advantages for installing the VMware tools, which is the link or the linking between your guest and your host. So let's ask ChatGPT to simplify its answer in a couple of lines. Let's see what is the answer.
Sure, I can simplify that. VMware Tools is a set of programs that you install on virtual machines, VMs, when you're using VMware software to run multiple operating systems on one computer. Here's what it does and why it's important. 1. Better performance. It helps the virtual machine run smoothly and quickly, making things like moving windows around and playing videos look better and work faster. 2. Easy interaction. It lets you move your mouse in and out of the virtual machine window without clicking extra buttons. You can also copy and paste between the main computer and the virtual machine, which is really handy. 3. Proper timing. It keeps the clock in the virtual machine in sync with the real world, so things that depend on the correct time, like appointments or reminders, are accurate. 4. Smart management. It makes it easier to manage the virtual machine, especially when shutting it down or when you need it to interact smoothly with the main computer. In short, installing VMware tools makes your virtual machine work better and easier to manage. It's like adding oil to a car engine to keep it running smoothly.
So you can see very, very simple and straightforward answer. If you ask Perplexity on what is the advantages of using uh, this, let's tell him to read it loudly, just one moment.
VMware Tools installs a set of utilities and drivers that enhance the performance and manageability of virtual machines. It acts as an interface between the VM host and the guest machine, passing information between them and improving communication. It enhances the performance of the guest operating system, allows for better management of virtual machines, and enables features like passing messages between host and guest operating systems, customizing guest operating systems, and automating operations. It is crucial to install VMware tools to access advanced features, improve performance, and ensure seamless interactions between the host and guest operating system.
Maybe it's not a good answer like ChatGPT, but he is giving you the sources of his answer in a clear way and give you a screenshot. You can see here this is the VMware tools. Let's ask him to simplify his answer and then let's read what is his answer. Just a moment.
Okay, let me explain VMware tools in simpler terms. What is VMware tools? VMware tools is a set of software utilities that are installed inside a virtual machine, VM, running on a VMware platform. It acts as a bridge between the VM and the host computer running the VMware software. What does VMware tools do? VMware tools provides the following key benefits. 1. Improved performance. VMware tools install special drivers and utilities that help the virtual machine run more efficiently and take advantage of the host computer's hardware. This can improve things like graphics, mouse, and keyboard performance inside the VM. 2. Better integration. VMware tools allows the virtual machine to integrate better with the host computer. For example, it enables copying and pasting text between the host and guest, shared folders, time synchronization, and other seamless features. 3. Enhanced management. VMware Tools provides tools that make it easier for administrators to manage and control the virtual machines. This includes features like taking snapshots, shutting down the VM gracefully, and running scripts inside the VM. Why is it important to install VMware Tools? Installing VMware Tools is considered essential because it unlocks all the advanced features and performance benefits of running a virtual machine. Without it, the virtual machine may not run as smoothly or have access to important management capabilities.
Very, very good answer. Uh, Maybe less than ChatGPT, but it clarifies why we need the VMware tools. If we go to Claude, the last AI tool, let's ask it to also give or why we need to install these tools. Let's ask or let's see the answer of Claude 3.
VMware Tools is a suite of utilities and drivers that are designed to enhance the performance and user experience of virtual machines, VMs, running on VMware's virtualization platforms, such as VMware Workstation, VMware Fusion, and VMware ESG. When VMware Tools is installed on a virtual machine, it provides the following benefits. Improved graphics performance. VMware Tools installs optimized graphics drivers that enable features like full screen mode, accelerated 3D graphics, and improved video playback performance within the guest operating system. Enhanced mouse and keyboard integration. Without VMware Tools, mouse pointer movements may become jerky and keyboard input may not work as expected. VMware Tools ensures seamless integration of mouse and keyboard between the host and guest operating systems. Improved time synchronization. The guest operating system's clock can drift over time, causing issues with time-sensitive applications. VMware Tools synchronizes the guest operating system's time with the host system's time, ensuring accurate timekeeping. Shared folders. VMware Tools enables the sharing of folders between the host and guest operating systems, allowing easy transfer of files and data. Drag and drop support. With VMware Tools installed, users can drag and drop files between the host and guest operating systems, providing a convenient way to transfer data. Copy and paste support. VMware Tools enables copy and paste functionality between the host and guest operating systems, making it easier to share text, images, and other data. Automatic host guest OS resizing. When VMware Tools is installed, the guest operating system's display can automatically resize to match the VM window size on the host, providing a better user experience. Improved network performance. VMware Tools includes optimized network drivers that can improve network throughput and reduce CPU utilization for network-intensive tasks. It is important to install VMware Tools on virtual machines for several reasons. Better performance. The optimized drivers and utilities provided by VMware Tools can significantly improve the overall performance and responsiveness of the virtual machine. Enhanced user experience. Features like seamless mouse integration, copy and paste support, and shared folders make working with virtual machines more convenient and user-friendly. Operating system compatibility. VMware Tools ensures compatibility between the guest operating system and the VMware virtualization platform, enabling proper functionality and reducing potential issues. Automatic updates. VMware regularly releases updates to VMware Tools, which can provide bug fixes, security patches, and new features. Installing VMware Tools ensures that the virtual machine benefits from these updates. Overall, installing VMware Tools is considered a best practice when running virtual machines on VMware's virtualization platforms, as it significantly enhances the performance, compatibility, and user experience of the virtual machine environment.
So very, very good and detailed answer. One thing we can note here, if you need to sync the time of the host with the virtual machine or the guest, here is the option you can do that. You can go to the virtual machine setting and a certain option here, because it is not checked by default, tell him edit, and then we need to go to the options. Here for the time, there is something called time. Let me see here, VMware Tools, time sync, synchronize guest time with the host, okay? And VMware Tools update. If a new version of VMware Tools is available, you can update it automatically, use application default, currently update manually to change. So here I think we need to make it to update automatically, so I don't need every time to update it myself. So we can tell him to update automatically. I think this option is good. And synchronize guest time with the host. Okay, so this is one thing to note. So let's continue our lab and see if uninstalling or not installing the driver card will solve my issue. Anyway, it didn't solve my issue actually, and still after even uninstalling or not installing the graphical card drivers, also still a crash happens. So I just reinstall the VMware tools with the graphical card driver, because this was not the issue. The issue was with the build of the Windows itself, which is a canary, as we have said before. So it is uh, a buggy software, or a buggy operating system until they release the final release. Okay, so here I'm just installing the operating system, sorry, installing the VMware tools, and then will be prompted for restarting. Restart, still the crash happens again. As we can see here still the crash happened. I tell him to restart, and again I have here to work with the display, changing the display a couple of times, but at the end I didn't succeed. Still there is a problem with the here we can see it is very buggy. So the crash still happened and the display was not correct. So the display driver was not the issue. Okay, it was not the issue. I am currently having problems with my display in my virtual machine, and still the hanging is happening, or the crash is happening. So the driver card or the display card was not the issue again. So what I need to do, I will change the computer name and then reinstall the VMware tools, but including this time the graphical card. Okay, so I need to change the name. This is the one. Okay, and then change the name, and then reinstall the VMware tools, including the graphical card. As we said before, this was not the issue. I was suspecting that the driver of the graphical card was the main reason for the crashing of my virtual machine. So here we can see this is the name. We will restart. Then we can make it here. We will log in back, and then we can install the VMware tools back again. Okay, reinstall, and we will include the graphical card. So this was a step for me to try to solving the crash issue with my virtual machine. Okay, so after we install the VMware tools, we need to team the two network cards, and then we will open some options, okay, in the operating system, and then we will after teaming the network cards, we will set the IP address. Here we are telling him not to start server manager automatically. We will set static IP address. So we'll do what we currently done, or what we have done with the primary domain controller. First of all, we need to what we need to do, we need to I think okay, we need to install, yes, the VMware tools again. Okay, so we will tell him to modify. Okay, next, and then tell him to modify the setting. Next, then we will include the Vega driver, and then next, can see this a lot of things added, change. So you can see the screen is flickering. That means that the display is changed. Okay, so now we can see we have uh, enhanced graphical display. Okay, so here we have the display setting. Here I need only to change the resolution, but later. Now we need to open the server manager, or we make a restart just to make sure that everything is working. So you need to restart after installing the VMware tools. This is a recommended step. We can see still crash is happening before and after installing the graphical card drivers. So here I'm trying to play with the graphic setting, but still no luck. So I will go and stretch or change the resolution. I'll try to make it uh, to stretch or change the display setting. So I'll make it like that. Still it is not working perfectly, so I need to auto resize it. Still there is a problem. Again, I'm just playing with the graphical setting just to try to okay to make it more in a better performance. Just a moment, guys. So let's continue, guys. Hmm. Okay, we can see now the setting is correct, or we can see the display now is correct. Now we need to continue working with our virtual machine. Now we need to open the remote desktop options on to work with a couple of things. First of all, the second hard disk should be partitioned. Still, we didn't initialize the second hard disk. We need to initialize it and partition it as one partition. This is one thing to take note. You need to do a lot of things. Actually, you need to open some options in the virtual machine. You need to first of all open remote desktop setting, so we can access this server remotely using the remote desktop. So these are default options that should be changed. We need to change the time zone. We need to update the operating system. We need to update the antivirus. So all of these things we have done it already. Okay, so remote desktop, we allow remote connections. Okay, firewall rules are applied. Okay, apply and okay. Now we need to change the time zone. Okay, change it to Cairo. Okay, now we need to make network teaming and put the static IP address. So we have the two graphical cards, the two network cards. The speed is 1 gigabyte. By the way, this is in the VM environment. In the Hyper-V environment, it is 100, I think, gigabyte, not 1 gigabyte. It's more, okay? Thing is, this is related to the graphical card drivers. So here we need to make the load balancing mode address hash because this default setting will not work, okay? So we need to make it address hash so it will accept the network teaming. This is in the virtual environment. In real situation, you can leave the default setting of the network teaming and it will work, okay? So a couple of minutes until the teaming is successful, you will say both are active and we will see here is the statistics about the bytes sent and received, okay? You can see now still received and sent. We need to wait until they both are active. So now we can see both are active. Now we need to set the IP address. Okay, I need here to have some icons on my desktop. I need to have the control panel so I can easily access the different features in the Windows operating system. You can see this is the control panel. Open, then we need to access the network adapter properties. Here I need the small icons view. Okay, and now we can access the network and sharing center. This is our teamed network connection, the properties, then TCP IP. First, we need to disable version 6 protocol because we will not use it. Some say it make problems in the network, so we will work with TCP version 4 protocol. We'll put the static IP address, which is 79.8. This is 79.7, okay? So this is the subnet mask, the default gateway to get out to the internet. The preferred DNS, it will be the gateway DNS, okay? This is one. Until we promote this server to be a secondary domain controller, the preferred DNS will be the IP of the secondary domain controller, which acts as the same time as a DNS. Okay, and we have alternative DNS for Google. So these are temporary. These two are temporary until we update the operating system and the antivirus. Then the preferred DNS will be not will be the IP address of the additional domain controller, but the primary domain controller. Its preferred DNS will be the primary domain controller IP address, which is at the same time is the primary DNS, and the alternative DNS will be the IP of the additional domain controller, which will act as the secondary DNS, okay? So this is one thing to note. We need to do the same setting on the primary domain controller, but after promoting this to be a secondary domain controller and the secondary DNS. Don't worry, we will see the setting at the end. Now we will see access to the internet. We can update the operating system and the antivirus, and before that we need to activate the operating system by using a serial provided by Microsoft, so we can activate the Windows edition and we can update it without a problem. Here is the serial for the standard and the data center. So we can go and activate you can see we have access to the internet. One thing, we can configure the age to bypass all of these welcome messages. You can do this through a group policy, so not to have all of these appearing for the user, okay? So we can tell him or setting. Okay, here we go. Now tell him about. Okay, tell him I think not about accessibility. Activate now. Okay, then we can change the product key. We have done this before, by the way. This key is not accepted by Azure editions. Okay. So this will take some time, okay? And after that, we need to initialize the second hard disk and partition it, okay? So we have everything in order, okay? And then we will add the Active Directory domain services. Before that, I need to have some icons on my desktop, okay? But even before that, we need to, yes, I think here for the icons, okay, we need to have the desktop setting, icon setting. We need to have a couple of icons on our PC, computers, user files, control, and network. And then we need to update the operating system and the antivirus, okay? By the way, we said before we will work with the Windows Defender as our antivirus, but it is not perfect. You need to install or deactivate the Windows Defender and install a good antivirus product, maybe like McAfee, like Microtrend, or Trend Micro, or Norton, any platform or any antivirus program uh, good for multinational corporations or a trusted one, okay? So now we need to do a couple of things. We need to have uh, this to the left. We will have some changing in the taskbar setting anyway, but before that we need to go to the privacy setting for the security and the antivirus threat and update the antivirus. So make sure before promoting this server or accessing it to the domain, we need to make sure everything on this server is updated. Applications, operating systems, antiviruses, okay? With the latest security patches, okay? Checking for updates. Okay, update successful. To go to the Windows update, we will take a small restart. Okay, this is downloading. Okay, we will take some time until it is downloaded, then we need to install both. So we can restart now. So this is our operating system updated. Now we will access again and see if there is any additional uh, updates missing. Okay, there is no updates. You are up to date. So we need to work with the second hard disk, and then we go to the process of installing Active Directory domain services. And I'm just checking the RAM usage because here I am having a lot of RAM usage on my laptop. Okay, so I'm suspecting that this virtual machine is taking so much RAM. Anyway, this is an operating system hungry for hardware resources. As I said before, you need to have at least 4 gigabyte of RAM on this operating system or on this virtual machine. Okay, so here I am just opening this primary domain controller because I will join this server to the domain. Okay, so our primary domain controller should be opened. So I need here to see the RAM usage. Here we see we have 94%. I have two virtual machines. So this will be a problem. Everyone has 2 gigabyte of RAM. So this will not leave me with much RAM left. Okay, so just to take a note. Okay, now I'm opening what we need to do. We need, after finishing the update, we need to go and change the preferred DNS and the alternative DNS. So we have changed everything. Now we need to go and point the preferred DNS to look for the primary domain controller, and the secondary will be the IP address of this server. This will redirect, or it will tell this server to communicate with the domain controller to join the domain. Okay, So we have both. We can see 7 and 8. This should be done the same on this server after promoting this to be an additional domain controller. Now we can make a small test and ping the primary domain controller to see if we have any communication between the server, and to make an NS lookup to make sure the DNS is working perfectly on the primary DNS. So this will make the process of promoting this server to be an additional domain controller smoothly. Okay. So we can right click and terminal and ping the primary domain controller and make an NS lookup. So terminal or CMD as you wish. Now we can ping the primary domain controller just to make sure we have communication between the two servers. It is replying. Now we make an NS lookup to make sure the DNS is working on the primary domain controller. NS lookup. Okay, we will put or give it an IP address. We need to put an IP address. It will reply with the name of this IP address, name of the PC of this IP address is DC. So we have everything working perfectly. Now we can go with the process of installing the Active Directory domain services and promoting this server to be an additional domain controller. But before that, again, I have missed the hard disk or the second hard disk on this virtual machine. So the server manager, here you go. How much time we have still? Now we'll take to the disk management. We said before we have an additional hard disk. Okay, we need to initialize it, and then we'll make this hard disk as D. Okay, for the second partition, we need to take the drive letter from the CD-ROM, which is currently the D letter, and give it to the newly created partition. Okay, so we'll make it as an E. I need to make it in order, E. Okay, okay. And then give it to this non-partitioned hard disk. Okay, make sure that when you give it the drive letter, it is unpartitioned. Okay, before. Okay, data. Next. Do not change the drive letter unless it doesn't contain any data, or this partition doesn't contain any data. Okay. So now we have the departition. Now we can begin our process of promoting this server to be an additional domain controller. So we can go now and tell him manage and add roles and features. Before that, we can revise the setting for the server. You can see product is activated, the teaming is done, we have desktop enabled, remote management enabled, antivirus is on, time zone is correct, updates are installed. So we have everything working. We will take a snapshot. I prefer to have a snapshot before any critical change to the operating system. Okay. Take a snapshot. It will take some time. Okay, and then 76%. Now just revising the RAM, we can see less usage of RAM, but anyway, this have 4 and I have some issues with my RAM setting. Anyway, so now we can go and begin the installation process of the Active Directory domain services. Okay, add roles and features, next, 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 Active Directory domain services, add features, next, next, You will see in the features a lot of newly introduced features that was not in the Windows Server 2022. We can discover them later, but I have found a lot of things actually I didn't see before in the Windows Server 2022 edition. Anyone that knows one of these new features can leave or say that feature in a comment so I can try it and see it. Okay, storage migration services. This is already there. I think it was before in Windows Server 2022. Okay, one of the good tools, Windows Server migration tools. Okay, next, then install. So now we can promote this server to be uh, a domain controller. Here we will encounter a problem which is weird. And I found this problem or the same problem when I was working with the Windows Server 2022 Preview Edition. The same happened to me, but it was not solved, okay? And I have to have the additional domain controller. So when I was working with the Windows Server 2022 Preview Edition, I have made a primary domain controller with Windows Server 2022, but when I make the additional one, it completely failed to promote the server to be an additional domain controller and join it to the Windows Server 2022 domain. Okay, so I make the additional one as a Windows Server 2019. Okay, here to solve this problem, again, it will not accept, it doesn't see the domain, so it tells you that I cannot join the domain. So as a workaround, what I do, I just I tell him cancel and join the domain or join the server manually to the domain and then promote the server to be an additional domain controller. Here in this wizard, it will join the server to the domain and promote it in one step. But here this failed. So I need to divide it to two steps. First, join this server to the domain and then promote the server to a domain controller or an additional domain controller. Let's see the error that appears here. I will type the forest. Okay. So here asking for credentials. Anyway, I will type the domain. Here, this is an additional domain controller to an existing domain. Now we will put the credentials. We'll put the domain, then the domain admin account. Okay, and then type the password. Here he will say that the password is incorrect, even though I am absolutely sure that the password is correct. Okay, so this was a bug. Okay, I don't know why this happened, but if we go to the next, we will see, okay, that saying the list of target environment, the username password is incorrect, so it doesn't see the password correctly. Try to type the password a couple of times, but still the same error. So to solve this problem, I just cancel and then join the server to the domain and then promote the server. Okay, so we will tell him cancel. Okay, then I will just what I have done here like that, cancel the wizard, we tell him close, and then go to the local server. So what we need to do, we'll go to the local server and then, okay, we'll tell him to change the worker group. This is the first thing, change the worker group and change and join it as a normal PC or a normal server. Okay, matrix.internal. So this is how you can solve this problem if it happens to you. So this is matrix.internal. We will put the same username and password, even though it was rejected by the wizard. Here we will see I have the same password and the same username, and it will join the domain successfully, thank God. Okay, so here, okay, so join the domain. So after that, we will restart and then promote the server. Okay, so next and then refresh or restart, again the crash. So next, restart. Now we will join. Here we can see, if we go a little bit further, we will see that the welcome message, the first thing we will see the welcome message. Okay, so that means that the server is currently joining or joined the domain. Okay, so we tell him Control Alt Delete. Here is the welcome message. So we can put the domain admin account, take care to put the domain admin account, because this will be the current user that will be used with the Active Directory wizard. Okay, make sure of that. I will show you why we need to use the domain admin account to log into this server. Wait for a moment and see. So now you will log in. Okay, and we'll see here there is this is the desktop, okay, background. This is the user account control. It will be disabled after we make another restart, and this is the Active Directory login script. It is already implemented. So basically you can see our group policies are applied successfully. The idle log of program is not there. We can copy it from the server and put it here. Okay, so the idle log of can be copied later. Now we can go to the server manager and promote this server to be an additional domain controller. Very, very simple. So before that, we need to copy the idle log of program from here to there, so the script will find the folder and run the software. Okay, so we can access the C partition of the primary domain controller by this way. You need to have, or to access it by the domain admin credentials. Okay, so now we will copy the idle log of folder. We will copy it that contains the program and put it in the C partition of our server. Okay, so now we can go and put or open the C and paste, so this error will not appear for us again. Okay, so now we have the idle log off. Now we can simply go and promote the server. We will see a strange thing, that it will pass and it is currently using the credentials I logged in with on this server. Okay, so first of all, we will do a couple of things here. I need to first of all, I need to change the taskbar setting a little bit. Small icons. Here, the Windows Defender, I need to disable the firewall because it may block the connection between the two domain controllers. We have said before, Windows Firewall do a lot of interruption on the service, so it needs to be closed. Okay, so okay, just to make sure everything will work or we don't have any issues joining this server to the domain. Okay, so now we can go and promote the server to be a domain controller. We will see it will directly take the supplied credentials. He will check the user that I am currently logged in with. He will take it. He will know the domain. So everything is done automatically. We don't need to provide it with any data. And we just type next. Okay, so this is simple. Okay, now we need to continue our normal promoting the server. This is the Active Directory restore mode password. So we can see very, very simple process. Next. Next. We will see a certain error here. It failed to promote or to use the ad prep or preparation, but it disappeared. Okay, when I go to the previous or a couple of steps back, and next, this message disappeared. Okay, so we can go further again. If you tell him next, next, so I get previous, we can see it is disappeared. We do previous, and then next, it will disappear. Okay, then we can go next, and this is the database folder, log folder, sysvol folder. This is the script. If you need to automate the process of promoting servers to be additional domain controller, he can give you the script, so we can use it later. We can take it and ask the AI tools to modify it and enhance it. So this is one way to automate some processes in the domain. Okay, so now we tell him ADC script, save. So no, then we tell him next. This step or the process of promoting the server will be very, very normal steps. Install, prerequisites, check, complete, so you are ready to go. Install, and then we will see a restart, and then we can do our process. We need to log in back to the server and make our custom console to contain all of the necessary tools we need to work with on this server. Okay, so we will restart. Okay, now a couple of steps. Now we can see the domain login. Okay, now we can go and put the domain admin account. We will do the same. We'll create a custom console on this server exactly like we have done on the primary domain controller. Revise my first or second video concerning creating of this virtual machine. Okay, so now we can go and log in normally. Now we need to do a couple of things here. The Active Directory login script didn't work as suspected. You need to make a couple of restarts, but here we need to just uh, customize our environment. We need to uh, disable the search box. We can get this to be at the left. Okay, we need the icons to be always appearing, so we will do a couple of things. We will change the taskbar setting to make it more standardized. Okay, so right click and then taskbar. So this should be done by the Active Directory login script, but for some reason it was delayed. So we will make it manually. We'll take the search box, we tell it as hide, and then task view, we will close it. Then we will tell other system tray icons to appear, so we don't need to hide any system trays, hidden icons. Okay. Then we need to go and taskbar behavior to align it to the left. Okay. Not to the center, we make it to the left, so it make it more easier for me to work with. Then we need to go and uh, make our custom console. Okay, MMC to make a custom console to include all of the tools we need to work with on this server: Active Directory, DNS, disk management, services, a lot of things. We have done this before in the primary domain controller. So Active Directory users and computers, the DNS console, the event viewer. Okay, so we can see the logs on the server, group policy management console. Next, and then we need to have the event viewer to see the logs on this server, local. Then we can have the disk management if we need to see the hard disks. Okay, disk management. Okay, and at the end, the services, if we need to check the Windows services on this server, we need to do that. Okay, later. So we can save the console on the desktop. Before that, we need to check the DNS. I need to check a couple of things to see if the DNS is replicated successfully. You will see that if we open that, here is our forward lookup zone. The reverse is synced successfully. The forward is synced successfully. Here is the DNS records. You can see for the primary and the additional. Okay, we need to check the forwards to see if the external DNS are replicated between the two DNS servers. We can see it is replicated correctly. So we can see everything is ready to go. Now we can save the console to our desktop. Okay, we can see also the reverse DNS records are synced successfully. So everything seems to work perfect. We need to save the console. Thank God, you need to save uh, the console to the desktop. Here is my domain admin account, just to make sure everything is working. Okay, so we can save the console to the desktop. Then we can the last step is to make sure that the preferred DNS and the alternative DNS on our primary domain controller is the same as the preferred DNS and alternative DNS on our additional domain controller. This is the last step we need to verify. Okay, So now this is the additional domain controller and the secondary DNS, and this should be reflected to our primary domain controller. Again, we will do a couple of things. We need to add the control panel icon to the desktop just to make it easier for me to access different setting. Okay, so now we can go and have themes, then desktop setting or desktop icon setting. Need to have the control panel. So here is the control panel, users, and so network, and apply and OK. So now we can go and change the DNS setting. Okay, here we can go and see the network just to revise the setting, just to make sure we have internet, and now we can have details. We need to make sure these settings are the same on the primary domain controller. Okay. Okay, just revise the setting properties. You can see everything is stated here. We need to go to do the same on the primary domain controller. So we can go to the primary and log into the server. I can go with the domain admin account. Can go further, further, further. Again, here we are just revising, make the resolution on the primary to be the same as on this the additional. Okay, just to make display unified on both. Okay. Okay, so we can go to the primary, okay, and begin working on the control panel. We will open the control panel and change the network setting. So we open the control panel, then we can open the network and sharing center. Okay, the DC team. Now we can go to properties and then TCP IP properties. Now we change this to 192.168.79.7 and the alternative to be 192.168.79.8. Okay. Okay, so this should be the last thing in our video. In the upcoming video, with God will, we will begin installing file server, the HTTP, WSOS, the different things, and we will begin creating folders on the file server and sharing them to the workstations. We will see that we will also create a workstation, but this will be in upcoming videos. Now we can shut down the servers completely, okay, because now we have everything finished. So this concludes the end of our video. Stay tuned for the upcoming video on working or different server role features. Hope this video is informative for you all, and thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.